Let's talk about the book of Ruth. I'm sure you know it. It's that beautiful story of loyalty, family, and love. But what if there's more to it? Like a lot more. What if its real purpose isn't just to tell us about the past? What if this seemingly simple story is actually a coded blueprint, a prophetic pattern that was designed to reveal the future? Well, that's what we're going to explore.
And that brings us right to our central question. Is this just a sweet love story, or could it be a carefully crafted glimpse of what's still to come? We're going to dig into the idea that this narrative isn't just history, but a prophecy told not in direct words, but through a living, breathing pattern.
The source material for this explainer says it perfectly. Its simplicity hides a profound pattern. This really hints that God sometimes speaks through what the prophet Hosea called similitudes. Think of them as acted-out parables. And to really decode these parables, we first have to get our heads around a really critical concept.
And that concept is called typology. The easiest way to think about it is like biblical foreshadowing. It's the idea that real people and real events in the Old Testament were intentionally designed by God to be types that point forward to a much greater reality in the New Testament. This is the lens we're going to be using to unlock the story of Ruth.
So how does this whole prophetic pattern get started? Well, it begins by looking at the world Ruth lived in and seeing how the chaos of her time was itself a type, a shadow of something that was yet to come.
The book literally opens in the days when the judges ruled, a time of total anarchy, where, as it says, everyone did what was right in their own eyes. Now, through that typological lens we just talked about, this chaos isn't just a historical detail. It's foreshadowing a future time of worldwide crisis. And the famine in the land? That points to a future spiritual famine, which sets the stage for a story of both judgment and rescue.
Okay, so the pattern gets even clearer when we look at the actual people involved. It's like each character in this story is playing a symbolic role, representing a key player in God's much, much larger plan of redemption.
Just look at how these characters line up symbolically. You've got Naomi, who represents Israel. She's experiencing loss and sorrow, but she's never fully abandoned by God. Then there's Ruth, the foreigner, the Moabite. She perfectly represents the church, Gentiles, drawn to God completely by faith. Her sister-in-law, Orpah, symbolizes those who kind of consider faith, but ultimately turn back. And of course Boaz. He stands in as the powerful kinsman redeemer, the hero of the story.
And right here you see two paths, two very different choices. Orpah turns back to her people and her gods. She goes back to what's familiar. But Ruth clings to Naomi, and she makes this radical declaration: "Your people shall be my people, and your God, my God." In that one moment, she's grafted into a totally new family, which is just a perfect picture of how the church is brought into the family of God.
Now, to understand the climax of the story, you absolutely have to understand Boaz's title, kinsman redeemer. This wasn't just some generic term, it was a specific legal role. A kinsman redeemer had to be a relative with both the power and the willingness to rescue family members from hardship, buying back their land and literally restoring their future. This concept is the engine for this entire prophetic pattern.
So the pattern isn't just in the people, it's also in the timing. It's amazing. The story unfolds in perfect sync with Israel's harvest festivals, which creates this kind of prophetic calendar where every single season has a much deeper meaning. The story kicks off at the barley harvest, which is the time of Passover. Well, this points directly to Christ's resurrection, which is called the first fruits of the harvest. The long season of gleaning that follows, it perfectly mirrors the current church age, this long period of gathering people from all nations. And it all culminates in the wheat harvest, aligning with Pentecost, the very birthday of the church. The timing here is no coincidence. It's part of the code.
This all builds to the absolute climax of the story, the redemption of Ruth. And it happens in two very distinct stages, a private pledge followed by a public action. And as we're about to see, the sequence of these events is probably the most important prophetic key in the whole book. So it all starts with this secret private pledge. At night, on the threshing floor, Ruth asks Boaz to cover her with his cloak, which was a symbolic plea for covenant protection. And he gives her his word. It's only after this intimate promise that he goes to the city gate to make the redemption official and public for everyone to see. And notice the incredible contrast here. The threshing floor scene is private, it's intimate, it's at night. It's a promise of rest that's based on grace. The city gate scene is public, it's legal, it happens in broad daylight. It's the fulfillment of the law. This two-step sequence, private grace followed by public fulfillment,
This is the absolute key to the whole pattern.
So what does this all mean? When we put all these pieces together, the characters, the timing, and this private then public redemption, a pretty stunning picture of future hope starts to emerge.
So according to this typological reading, here it is, the ultimate parallel. The private pledge on the threshing floor foreshadows the church being secretly caught up to meet the Lord. The public legal transaction at the city gate then points to the later public day of the Lord, a time of judgment and the open revealing of God's plan to the entire world.
The crucial point here, and I mean the most important part, is the sequence. The private union comes before the public event. So if this pattern holds true, it suggests that the church's union with its Redeemer happens before a time of public judgment unfolds on the earth. It's a powerful, embedded picture of what the New Testament calls the blessed hope.
Now, it's really vital to frame this discovery with some wisdom. As the source material really emphasizes, the church does not chase dates. The point of this pattern isn't to try and predict a specific day or hour. The purpose is to learn how to read the beautiful, intricate patterns God has woven into His story so that we can better understand His plan and, most importantly, keep our focus on the Redeemer.
And that leaves us with a final, fascinating question. If a story as simple and as beautiful as Ruth contains such a profound pattern, what other hidden blueprints has God embedded throughout Scripture, just waiting for us to discover? What is He asking us to see today? Thanks so much for joining me.